Get into the business, how did all that develop for you?
My dad bought me a ring when I was 9 years old. I just stayed in it from sun up to sundown, and I had my first pro match at 16, and then a friend of mine got me booked a week in Oklahoma. We went out there and did it, and then I did the Indies like every weekend after that.
You just mentioned a teddy bear. What was that?
Yeah, I was 9 years old. If I wanted to practice like a leg drop or an elbow or something off the top, I had a big fucking stuffed teddy bear that I practiced on. If I heard it, who cares, But, that's why I do a lot of shit that nobody else does. I actually could do so much more than I ever did in ECW. I just did enough to actually keep my job. Not saying that in a bad way, but I just never got the opportunity to, show all the shit I can do. I mean, I do some pretty stupid shit. And I've been real lucky. I haven't been hurt. I've had no major injuries. And, I mean, I've been extremely lucky with the shit that I do.
Before you mentioned wrestling Owen Hart, and you said I was like...
Hey, before you get into that, I got all zeros still.
You recording?
Yeah.
Alright, now, before you mentioned that wrestling Owen Hart, was like probably the most monumental or most memorable moment in your career. Can you go in depth on that?
Well, like I say, I was working for Italian Stallion, and back then they would tell Style to bring like 14 guys to do 3 days of TV taping. Mainly, we was getting squashed, but it was cool because we was making more than we could on the indies. We was on TV. We got to hang out with the superstars. My first night there, I worked Tatanka, and I did that bump through the ropes. And it was before they ever had the double feature. And they showed it again in slow motion. And then the next night I worked the 1, 2, 3 Kid. I did the bump again. And then the third night we were there, they didn't have the name on the board yet. So I told Style, I'm like, well, maybe I won't have to work and still get paid. Lazy way, And Style goes, okay, well, I'll go find out. He come back and he goes, you can hang that shit up. Everybody in this building's wanting to work it. Well, the first night that I did the bump, Style was telling me, he's like, the guys are back there watching the monitor. As soon as I go through the ropes, all the guys are jumping up going, fuck, he's dead, So I come back, I get dressed, I get ready to leave, and Owen calls me over. He goes, you meant to do that? And I went, yeah. He goes, unfucking believable. He said, that's the most awesome fucking bump I've ever seen in my life. So the first night and the second night, I had never, you gotta understand, I'm from the South, so I never really watched WWF. I watched Mid-Atlantic, NWA, Ric Flair and them. I went and did a job for NWA, wow, long fucking time ago, and I worked Doom. And the guys had the attitudes of, well, you're a jobber, if we hurt you, who gives a fuck? There's 100 people take your place. So it really made me feel uncomfortable. First night in WWF, well, matter of fact, every night that I worked somebody, the guy that I was working is like, hey, if I call something and you don't think you can do it or you feel uncomfortable with it, we'll change it. And that right there just opened up a whole new world for me. I thought, these guys are cool. They care, actually about the guys that are putting them over on TV. A lot of people give, you say jobber and they're like, oh, fuck. But you got to understand, we're on there making these stars look better and better every week. We're getting our asses beat. But we get to be on TV, and it helps on the indies in the long run. But I'll never forget, George Steele was an agent in the back. And he comes up to me, he goes, I've got heat with you, kid. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I didn't do it. He goes, I've come to these matches for 60 years. I try not to sell. He said, you done brought me out of my seat twice with that fucking bump. He said, don't do it anymore. My heart can't take it. So a month later, I walked to the building. I hadn't even got in yet. Owen meets me at the door. He goes, I'm working you tonight, right? And I'm like, I don't know. I haven't even been inside. He goes, yeah, they told me. They said, you're working the kid that does the bump. And he goes, you want to do it tonight? And I'm like, do you think I should? He goes, fuck yeah. I said, all right, we'll put it in. Owen was the greatest. I mean, he was the nicest. He's just the opposite of Brett. What turned me against Brett was he was world champ at the time. Instead of associating with the boys, he sat over in the corner by himself. Now, I mean, he didn't even talk to Owen a lot, And somebody asked him, it's like, Brett, why don't you ever work jobbers? And he's like, I'm not going to end my career that way. They don't know what they're doing, not to blow my own horn, but, you know, I consider myself a lot better than some of the guys they were pushing, you know. And another thing that turned me against him, we did the show at the Mid-Hudson Civic Center. So it's like the arena and the motel and the lobbies, all the one. They've got a lounge there. It's all in the same place. So after wrestling, we was all going to the lounge, and kids wasn't allowed in the lounge. But they were standing outside, you know, getting autographs and all. And here's the biggest heels in the business, Yoko, Owen, and all them signing autographs. Brett walks in with his belt over his shoulder, and a little girl, she must have been about 7 or 8. She said, "Mr. Hart, can I have your autograph?" And he just looked at her and walked right into the lounge, you know. And I thought that was shitty, because without the fans, you know, we're nothing. So that turned me against Brett. And Owen was just the opposite. He was the nicest guy in the fucking dressing room.
Thinking back on your days in like ECW, what would you say was like the best moment in ECW for you? Your matches or backstage is something that...
As far as the best moment it'd be when Tommy Dreamer come up and told us we had full-time jobs. Now, the way ECW worked, Kid Cash went 2 years driving to the shows. He's not guaranteed a spot on the show because he's not full-time. So there's a lot of times he spent his money to drive to the shows and didn't get to work and had to spend his money to get back home because he didn't get a payday. He did this for 2 years. So anybody that says Cash ain't paid his dues is, you know, crazy. He has. Me and Easy hit it at a very lucky time. I think maybe 3 weeks in, Tommy Dreamer come up and he says, you know, I can't really give you big money and I can't afford to fly you in right now, but consider yourself full-time employed by ECW. So that meant every week that we went, we knew we had a spot on the card. So we didn't have to get dressed hoping that somebody would pick to work us. You know, we had a spot. How that all started was Cash put his name on the line and got us a tryout in Columbia, South Carolina. Me and Easy worked each other in the tryouts. And after the tryouts, well, we had to do it twice because Tommy wasn't out there. I mean, there's like 10 guys trying out. And you're talking about nervous because here's all the boys from ECW sitting around ringside, and they've got nothing better to do than, you know, fucking criticize you, and they have the right to. So, I mean, they're hard on these boys, and me and Easy is the last 2. And we did a real long opening spot, and we ended up squaring off. Well, when we squared off, the boys popped. And I went, fuck, you know, we've got them now. So we did the same match again, we did the same spot, and they popped again. And we had done went back, got dressed. I was waiting to hang out with New Jack because I hadn't seen him in like 8 years. And Tommy Dreamer comes out with a piece of paper before the matches. He goes, "Cash, you and Chili Willie against your 2 boys' first match." That was unheard of. Anybody getting a match the night of their tryouts. So we did our match. And another thing that put me over with Cash, I mean, we've been friends forever, but this really put me over. Tommy Dreamer says, "You've got 6 minutes. Well, 6 minutes when you first come off of the Indies don't sound like shit, you know, that's a fucking ring entrance. So I'm figuring Cash and Chili are going to kill us, you know, and they have a right to, you know, whatever. So I asked Dave, I'm like, can I do the leg drop off Easy's shoulders while he's sitting on the top rope? And Dave's like, listen, he goes, me and Chili have jobs here. Y'all go out and do your shit and get over and get you fucking jobs here. That meant a lot to me, you know, and for Easy to fucking bash him in WCW, he's a piece of shit for doing it. So that's how it worked, you know. We hit it at a very lucky time because, I mean, a lot of guys tried out, but, you know, some of the guys that tried out, I don't see why. I mean, honestly, some of these guys, to think they had the nerve to get an ECW ring and think, you know, I'll show these guys I can work and can't even fucking spell work, you know. So we hit it at a good time. We really did. You know, I just hate it folded before. Hot Commodity was starting to get over with the fans. At the last pay-per-view, Guilty as Charged in New York, I look up in the upper balcony. There's 2 Confederate flags hanging. I popped so huge. You know, a Confederate flag in New York. Jeez. So, yeah, we never really, you know, got to do everything that we could. We were just starting to get over, and then, you know, it ended. So, that's that story.
Like, you know, when you were in ECW, you got to know Paul Heyman, and how has that developed until now? Does he still keep in touch with you or whatnot?
Paul intimidated the hell out of me because I knew just like that my career could be over with ECW. I did most of my dealings with Tommy Dreamer. I thought Tommy Dreamer was the best, period. As far as keeping in touch with Paul, I'll call and leave a message. He sent me an email maybe 3 months ago saying, keep in touch with me. I'd love to get you a spot if one opens. I haven't heard from him since, so. I mean, they've got, Jesus Christ, there's only one company now. They've got so many guys, they can't even push the guys that they have, I mean, look at K Quick. He's a talented motherfucker, but they didn't have a spot for him, so they let him go. And then they've got all the developmental guys, and, it's just hard right now. I'm making good on the indies. I do real good on the indies. The ECW name helped me so much. Paul gave me my first break. He put me on fucking pay-per-view. Nobody's ever done that. So, I'll always be thankful to him for that.
Who do you feel is the biggest big name guy you've worked with in ECW? And what was that match like for you?
Wow, I love my matches with Tommy Dreamer. New Jack. Anytime you get to work New Jack's fucking great. Cash, he always brought out the best in me. We clicked good together. Nova, he's fucking great. I guess my biggest moment in ECW was the Guiltiest Charge pay-per-view. Nova called me through the week. He goes, hey, we're working each other in singles. Come Sunday early, we'll practice our match. He said, I want to work a spot in where you do the Super Frankensteiner off the top. I was like, you're going to let me do that? He goes, fuck yeah. So we worked that in, and then when I did it, the whole fucking place is going, holy shit, And I felt good because I'd been there less than a year, and here I am on pay-per-view getting a holy shit, and there's been guys there 5 or 6 years that's never got a holy shit, So that was something special to me. Yeah, as far as talent in ECW, every one of those guys and girls deserved the spot they were in. Every one of them were talented. From Joey Matthews, Kristen York, even Michael Shane, one of Shawn Michaels' students. Every one of them deserved to be where they were. They were talented and they deserved to be there. I miss it. I miss it so much. The thing I miss most is at first being a recognition of a big time company, because ECW back then had the best wrestling, period. Nobody could touch it. As far as wrestling, we didn't go in there, we didn't do 20-minute promos and a 5-minute match. It was pure wrestling, and every one of those fuckers could do it, and they knew what they were doing. But like when we would get to the show, say 4 o'clock, there'd be a line outside the door already, and you knew it was going to be a good crowd. Which, when you're doing the indies, you're sitting there at 7:30 and there's still no fucking line. But the indies that I've been on, I've been lucky because we've been drawing real good. They've been having good cards. And, like I say, the name recognition helped me a lot. It really did. I moved up north, and my intentions were only stay there for like 2 weeks to get away from Tennessee. But I can't afford to move right now. People found out I was there, and they book, and they run good shows, and they pay good. And the thing about South is, once ECW went off TNN, nobody knew who they were because they didn't get it down there.